News alert from the Hillsborough County Courthouse today, where a short time ago a jury reached a decision in the sentencing of Ronnie Oneal. The jury had to decide life or death for the man who murdered his girlfriend and their daughter. Fox 13's Gloria Gomez is there at the courthouse tonight. Hi there, Gloria. I know this is a particularly gruesome and heinous murder, especially to hear what this little boy went through. So what did the jury decide?
Yeah, 4:30 today, they handed down a life sentence. Now, the judge did not ask specifically who voted for life. They're not allowed to do that. But she did poll the jury to see if everybody agreed with that sentence. And one by one, they said, yes, that was their verdict, life in prison. Now, as you know, Mark, it only takes one juror to vote for life in prison in order for Ronnie Oneal to get life in prison. There was no visible reaction by Oneal when that verdict came down. He sat there quietly, kind of stone-faced, no real reaction. There was no visible outburst. Nobody made a peep in the courtroom, and that's probably because the judge admonished all of the people in the courtroom not to make any noise, not to have any visible verbal reactions to whatever the verdict was. So everybody kept their cool in the courtroom. I can tell you, outside the courtroom, the defendant's family and the victim's family were pretty much walking out at the same time, Mark, and the deputies made sure to keep each side separated so there wasn't any sort of interaction between them two, because as you know, this can get pretty heated. So once one side was escorted, then the second group was escorted. We know that the victim's family did speak to the media a short time ago. They may still be speaking to the media as we speak now, but I did hear Kiana Barron's mother speaking to the media, talking about the fact that her life will never be the same without her daughter, the fact that she probably won't have much of a relationship with her grandson, Ronnie Oneal. As you know, he survived this, but eventually was adopted. So she was in anguish, talking and crying in front of cameras about how hard that's going to be for her, Mark. So overall, just a traumatic day for everyone who was in that courtroom, who followed this procedure from the very first day, Mark.
Sure, something that's traumatic for both sides. Rarely do you have that sort of peace for everyone. But I know you spoke with an alternate juror, and as you mentioned, you did have to have everybody on the jury decide that he should be sentenced to life and death. So at least one person decided that they weren't. This juror who was dismissed this afternoon, what did she say about the case? Did she give you any indication about what they were saying?
Yes, in fact, as soon as she was dismissed and the judge said, you know what, you can talk about this case now to anyone you want to, she stepped out of the courtroom and immediately went up to the victim's family, shook their hands, and gave her condolences to the victim's family. I have never seen that cover in court ever in my profession, so that was very interesting. Cried as she walked out of the courtroom. We talked to her. She said she would have voted for death. She believed that Ronnie Oneal was just playing for the cameras. She believed that the fact that, you know, the defense was saying, you know, he's got a mental illness, she said it was all fun and games to him, that in fact she felt that the whole thing was an act by Ronnie Oneal. She also said that she was pretty traumatized by what she saw in that courtroom. Keep in mind, we did not play the 911 call of Kiana Barron with the fact that she's calling 911 as she's literally being beaten to death. And the fact that the prosecutor played that over and over and over, and it's such a haunting, disturbing call that she said she was having nightmares. And in fact, she told me that other jurors were talking about how traumatizing that was for them too. And so it just goes to show you, Mark, that when this case is over, it doesn't mean it's over for them. They have to kind of cope with some of the facts, the evidence, and the trauma that they heard in that courtroom.
Certainly one of the ugliest crimes we've ever seen here in the Tampa Bay area, and hopefully this will bring a little bit of closure and a little bit of peace here to those involved. Gloria, thanks.